So there's just a few extra things you have to do to facilitate the transaction. And I explain that, and that's why I say, that's why I'm asking 3%, because they'll say, well, what about 2.4? I go, well, that's, but now I have these other extra things I need to do. I should be paid for it. And they usually don't complain about it. So that's how I get it through that.
You do background work on the for sale by owner, like your own personal CMA or something, prior to making a phone call to a Fizbo?
No. You mean if for a client or just calling them?
Both.
No. No. I mean, if the client, if the buyer, my buyer is very interested, I usually do a CMA anyway for all my clients, then I would do one for that. Now, if I'm calling for the listing, obviously, and they agree to an appointment with me, then I will put together a CMA and a whole listing packet and give that to them.
From Angie has a question. When calling expireds, how do you get the phone number?
Okay, so I subscribe to a service. It's called it's called the Red X, excuse me. And so I pay once a year, and they provide lists of phone numbers. So for sale by owners, expireds, neighborhoods, you can do, a neighborhood, or I shouldn't say a neighborhood, you put an address and it'll do 400 phone numbers.
Wow.
Around it.
Mm-hmm. Like a reverse directory used to be?
I guess so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But more specific, you can hone in on particular.
You can hone in on, right.
What's that cost a year?
I think it's about $2,900.
Okay. So you guys obviously see that when you're going to go down a particular path, instead of just getting in there and peeking in and using it for, now and then, you've got to make a commitment to that's one of your areas that is your path. So, okay. Did you keep, Jay Haining, do you keep these clients in your database and work by referral with them then?
Yeah, I mean, if I have a good conversation or I sell their home, I remember, I think maybe it was 2 years ago, I sold it for sale by owner to my clients, buyers, and later I ended up helping that gentleman, the seller, buy another home that he wanted to flip. So, I think it just, if you have a good rapport with whoever you're working with, you should definitely put them in your database and make them your client, and ask for referrals and offer to help them with their real estate needs.
Do you offer upfront when you're talking to somebody? Do you ever offer to do, well, if you need any help with putting together your flyer or some suggestions, I'd be happy to kind of edging into that trusted advisor place without having something that says, I want you to be my realtor. That first launch pad as a kind of your development area. Do you ever do that?
Well, I don't do flyers. So
for sale by owners tend to sometimes though. So
yeah, well, I explained to them that, they're really pretty obsolete anymore, because people are usually on their phone looking at properties.
Right.
No, I mean, it just depends on the person. If they, I'm trying not to waste my time in just giving out valuable information, putting together packets and doing CMAs for people that have absolutely no intention of hiring an agent or me. I mean, that's where you have to ask a lot of questions and get a feeling, are they just trying to use me basically, and they want to keep selling it on their own. So, and there's been many times where I thought, oh, I'm going to get this listing, and they turn around and they list it with a 4%er from another company. So right. That's fine. That's their choice. I don't want to be a 4% listing agent. and I don't want to be known for that. So.
Okay.
Mhm.
Keep going.
Let's see. Also, other calls that I make, I will call just sold, just listed and just sold. So, and you can do this. It doesn't even have to be your listing. You could find a home that's for sale that some agent just listed, and you could just start calling around the neighborhood and say, did you know your neighbor listed their home? It's listed for X amount of dollars. It has 3 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms. And, they're like, oh, okay. How much is it going for? And you can talk about that. Then you ask them, how long have you lived in your home? Have you ever thought about moving? Where would you want to move to? And that's another way to pick up clients. I have a few right now in my database, and that I'm in touch with, that have told me they want to move. And so keeping in contact with them for when they're going to be ready to. Some will be this year.
Okay.
Mhm.
There's a question from Jennifer Waxberg. If the Fizbo is unwilling to work with an agent, what do you say to your buyer about setting up a showing?
Okay. Well, I don't first tell well, let's back up. So when you get a buyer, I think you have to make an appointment in your office. This is from my experience. And it's not even from a safety issue. I mean, that is a big point of it, but it's just expectation meeting. Here are the expectations, and I always address, if there's a for sale by owner that you want to see, I will call the seller and ask them to pay a commission and show you the property. And if they are unwilling to pay me a commission, I will ask that you pay the commission. So I'm just very upfront about it from the beginning.
Okay.
And most people, they get it. Like, okay, yeah, you're doing all this work for me. You're showing me homes. You're knowledgeable about the neighborhoods and the homes, etc. So, maybe just even at that point, just I'd like you to sign this commission agreement form that would come into effect if there was a for sale by owner. That way, it's covered. Probably not going to ever use it. I mean,
but it's an exclusive buyer agency.
Yeah.
All right. So it's kind of a different approach to that thinking around it, and probably pretty safe. But I like that you do that right up front, so it does not become a source of issue. I in my career, I've had 1 or 2 times that's happened, where then the
Right.
seller reached out to the buyer. They've connected when we were showing. So yeah, you get burned, you get the fire hose.
You learn quickly, yeah. And even I think, and if a buyer is unwilling to meet with you at the office, but they want you to jump and start showing them properties, they're not going to have any allegiance to you as the agent. The minute that you have a family emergency, or you have to show to some other clients, and they don't want to wait to go at 4 o'clock instead of 2 o'clock, and they're going to be on the phone calling the next agent that'll go show them, and they'll write an offer with them.
So you get off the cold. You take a cold call and you turn it into a warm, trusting relationship. And those steps, I've heard this over and over. I've been on several conversations and in conversations this week with other topics and agents, and almost everybody I noticed is coming back to this. What is it, Tim Cito? Come into the office. The Cito rule. Tim, talk
It's an old Floyd Wickman thing. Floyd Wickman was an old trainer. CITTO, come into the office.
Yeah. And that is not only of utmost importance with safety, but I would say that if there's nothing else that you're focused on here, and Jen, you're just backing it up, even with a Fizbo that you've had a conversation with, is get them to come in the office. That is the number one most important thing for your safety, and then also for establishing that relationship. So good point.
That's for buyers, absolutely. Because now there's so many sources that a buyer can get your information off Zillow or the Better Homes and Gardens website, app, HomeSnap, whatever. And you don't know this person. You don't even know if they're qualified. They could be lying to you. Why waste your time? I mean, I know we're eager to get out there, and as a newer agent, you're even more eager, and you need to make money, you want to make money, but you know, it's important to put some protocols into place. I mean, think of it like a doctor, you know, they're not just going to run and jump. They don't do that anymore. They don't do house calls. I mean, so.
Well, and I think you're saying what I've heard a lot of people say is, a lot of agents are saying this year is one of their biggest goals is a higher quality of clients.
Yes.
And in order for that, you have to be, I think, a higher quality of agent. And that's setting the boundaries. And so that little fear, I'm glad you're speaking to, because the fear of picking up the phone and calling somebody that you don't know and asking for something that probably a lot of people are asking for is not the easiest thing to get past to do that. So this is an important part of all this. And that's, you know, honestly, I think probably 50% of our inventory this year is going to need to come from us going after it versus just waiting. So so I think these dialogues are really good too. So if you could just continue to just bless us with more of that, that would be great.
Sure. Like I said, the just listed, just solds, those are, I would say, easier calls because you're not really asking for anything. They're not trying to sell their home. At least you don't know if they are or not. And it's just a good way to build rapport with someone. And just, I ask people all the time, do you have a real estate agent that you would go to if you had questions or needed to list your home? You know, surprisingly, a lot of people don't have a designated agent.
Mm-hmm.
Some people know a lot of agents, but they wouldn't know who to pick. I go and I'll say, well, you could always go with me, someone you don't know, and then you don't have to, you know, risk losing any friendships. And they kind of chuckle, but it's true. And you put that seed in their head.
Yeah.
About that.
Subliminal suggestions.
Yes. 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 Okay. Sarah's asking, what's your biggest or most recurring objection? Probably commission. Probably commission would be the biggest objection. A full, 6%. Okay. But I tell them, and it's true, nationally, homes sell 8 to 12% higher when they're listed with an agent than when they're sold for sale by owner. So they're already winning by 2%. And that's what I tell them. You're already going to make 2% and you don't even have to do anything. I'm doing all the work for you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, I'm sorry.
Just anybody throw questions in chat.
Okay.
Reminder.
Yes. So your sphere of influence, your past clients, your, friends, family, neighbors, you need to call them at least 4 times a year and ask them. And I think the easiest way is right away when they pick up the phone, say, hi, Julie, it's Jen. How are you? Let me get this out of the way first. Is there anybody that you know right now who wants to buy or sell in the next 7 to 10 days? Oh, let me think about it. Well, you know what? My neighbor actually just mentioned that that her mom needs to sell their house because they're going to put her in assisted living. Oh, great. May I have her contact information? However you want to go with that. And then, how are you? What's going on in your life? Because in that way you can end the conversation and they don't feel like, oh, she was just calling me to try to get business. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So that's a good technique. And that's when you're talking to anybody,
What do you use as a database, as a CRM database? How do you manage all this?
I need to improve on that. I'm not going to lie. Right now I use an Excel sheet and I have put their information and I put, like when was the last time I contacted them? The date. So I can see like, oh God, I haven't called that person in 6 months. I better give them a ring. Stuff like that. Yeah.
So your lists of Fizbos, your list of expireds, all of those, do you just like have certain sources you pull up every day, or is it fed into one place for calls for you?
No. So if I'm, if it's going to be a follow, so then let's talk about lead follow-up.
Mhm.
That's a whole separate list. And that can be with for sale by owners, that can be with, you're just listed, just sold calls, but whoever you feel is a follow-up that is going to be buying or selling, you need to be following up with them a lot. You need to be, asking, finding out when they're ready, what do they need? Do they need somebody to paint? Be their resource. If they are like, we need to get help cleaning the house and stuff, find them somebody that can go do that or whatever it is that they need. And just staying in touch with them, because 70% of your sales come from lead follow-up.
Hmm.
That's a big
number.
chunk. That's a big number.
That's why my question to you is, every day when you sit down to do you have how many hours a day do you actually do lead generation and lead follow-up? Like
I shoot for 2 hours a day, and I try to do it consecutively and not break it up.
And you sit down, and what does it look like?
It looks like I say, I'm going to call for an hour for sale by owners. And then I'm going to call maybe, I'm try 5 of my sphere today. I like to mix it up because then it doesn't get so repetitive. So, you might call for sale by owners and one day everyone's grumpy. Well, then, okay, I'm going to call my sphere. And then they're happy to hear from you. So you feel better that day. Right. So it's just good to
fed lists every day. This person needs a follow-up, or you can't keep this all in your head.
No, I make lists. You got to make lists. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Make lists. Another thing to do. So I try to call from like 9 to 11. Does it always work? No. But when you're doing lead follow-up, you should be doing that in the afternoon also. And maybe even once or twice a week, like at 6 or 7 at night, get them when they're home. They're most likely going to be home. I've also found, just since the pandemic hit, people are home, but they're like happy to talk with you. Like people are lonely and they want to talk, even if they don't know me, they're just happy I called. I'm asking them about their home. I'm asking them about real estate, offering some information. And I've had like some really pleasant conversations with people that I don't even know.
No, that is actually a very good point. Do you schedule Zoom call buyer interviews, seller interviews with people? Or
I have not done that. I have not done that. I would say if a client wanted to do that, I would be open to that. Absolutely. But when I'm calling, I'm just calling. I'm not, well, they would have to have Zoom. You would have to, it would be a whole thing if they were trying to prospect, lead generate like that.
A good alternative for people to offer it. Personally, I only do Zoom face-to-face. Laura does the in-person, but I find that I'm getting more people being willing to do a Zoom call face-to-face, and it actually does you can make the same kind of connection, and people don't feel that like, oh, now I'm stuck, here I am, and now I've had to, go drive someplace, go someplace. Is it safe? Is it not safe? If that's, if that's on their mind.
Sure.
And I'm getting the same results, if not better, with Zoom calls. Plus, if 2 people are in different places that are in the same family,
yes,
both get on the call. So as an alternative, I'm just putting it out there that is maybe another way to not be feeling like we're strong arming people to go somewhere they don't want to go and be in a room with somebody they don't know. So
sure. So, I guess my biggest advice to anybody is you've got to talk to people. So, and right now, obviously you should not, I guess, have a party and go talk to people that way. So you're going to have to get on the phone or do a Zoom call, but you still need to talk to people, and people are still buying and selling like crazy, as everyone knows. So you want to make sure that you are the first person that pops into people's heads when they're thinking about real estate at the end of the day. So
are any of the possible listings from expireds to one Fizbos and anything else. Are you getting any kind, and this would be pursuant to, the last year of COVID, do you get anybody that is more willing to do business with you because you have more safety procedures in place that protects them and their family? Because I've heard that is actually Brian Buffini has pointed out that many times, that this year is going to be most important to assure people up front of how going with you and having you oversee it protects the environment more, so they don't have they don't have people that have not already been aware that they need to wear a mask, or that they need to be cautious. And so, is that any part of your sell in Fizbos?
Yes.
Good.
Yes. And that yeah, absolutely. And with all clients,
Yeah.
that everyone needs
Speak
to
to that a
wear.
little bit of how using that as one of your values.
Yeah. So for example, when I'm listing a house, I let people know I'm not going to allow overlapping appointments. Even if the property is vacant or whatever, doesn't matter. I don't want to put anyone at risk. Or I've showed up too many times this past summer, where there are 3 agents in the house with their clients, and there's 5 other agents standing outside with their clients. And there is no protocol for that. So I don't allow that. I do all appointments through the showing service. And that way they're kept track of. And I explain that to the sellers. So they'll be kept track through showing time, but also through the lockbox, the electronic lockbox that will sends me an email every time it's open of who opened it and what time. So it's like a double system. And I provide, mask, hand sanitizer at the listing.
Okay. I think these are important points of providing value that they're not going to get on their own, or then maybe not think about on their own. Also, speak a little to it being listed and having a higher level of qualified buyers that come into their house.
Yes. So for example, I explain to them, well, when I have a listing, if I get a signed call, I'm going to be asking who their agent is. I don't ask if they have an agent. I say, which agent are you working with? Because then they'll tell you. Or they really will say, I don't have an agent. Because if you ask, do you have an agent? A lot of times, again, it's back to their agent's out of town for the weekend, but they want to get into a house. And the agent hasn't designated somebody else to watch their business.
So
Which, so, you can, because if they're already dedicated to the agent, they just want to get in. Now you've gone and, kind of wasted your time. Or, I mean, that people could argue and say, well, it's your listing. You're supposed to do everything you can in your power to sell it. But, if they have an agent, their agent should be showing them the home.
Okay.
I mean, there's always exceptions. I've had where an agent calls me directly and asks, can you do me this favor because I'm out of town, or remember, there's always something like that. But yeah, if they're just, calling, you don't know who they are. You want to find out who they're approved through. Do they have a home to sell? Is it on the market yet? Do they plan on listing it, or are they going to try to sell it for sale by owner? So I just say, you want to ask a lot of questions. And I find when people aren't lying and they're serious and they want to buy or sell, they're going to just be honest and upfront with you and tell you everything. But when they start getting defensive and, well, I don't need to tell you that. And, they're probably, something's up, something's not okay. So at that point, you can decide if you want to really waste or take any more time with that person. So.
Do you farm as well?
I'm starting to farm now.
Okay.
My neighborhood. Yes.
Okay.
And I also call the neighborhood. I call my neighborhood and I'm starting to farm. So they're getting, the calls, and they're also getting stuff in the mail. And I tell them I'm the short lady with the schnauzer walking around. So to give them say, oh, that's that lady that called me. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, Krista Luther does a good job of identifying with Annie, her dog.
Uh-huh.
Know that. So yeah, that's really good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, more questions,
Um,
you guys.
I don't know if anyone has any questions or.
Maybe let me ask a question of all of you. What do you struggle with if you can't, if it doesn't feel comfortable calling a Fizbo or looking for homes? What would you like to hear Jen talk about to get past that fear of rejection, Jay? Yeah, all of us. So yeah, talk about that, Jen, because I think one of the things that's really obvious is you set amazingly good boundaries.
I
And
said what? I'm sorry.
amazing good boundaries.
Oh, okay.
And I know you personally, you're a person that is your boundaries almost look like gates. You know, you are very, very good about I do this, I don't do that. You know, you're a person that is strong in that. So how do you do that and get past that fear of rejection?
Okay. Well, yeah, like Jay just said, you can't take rejection personally. I mean, I don't know how else to. Here's the thing. No one tells you this when you get into real estate, but real estate is a sales job. I mean, everyone likes to fluff it up and, oh, I love home, I love this, and I love people, and blah, blah, blah. But really, real estate is a sales job. And it doesn't matter what business and sales you're in, there's going to be rejection. So if you look at it that way, you know, you just make the calls. And I bought this. This is so funny. One time, my coach, this is probably 3 years ago, she said, you know, you need to let your faith be bigger than your fear. And literally the next day, I was in Marshall's and I walked down, and this sign was right in front of me when I walked down there. It says, "Let your faith be bigger than your fear." So you just have the faith when you make calls that you're going to find some good leads. Maybe you're going to even get a listing, and you just have to, you know, stay positive with it.
So
okay, how do I deal with the do not call list?
Okay.
I don't, especially like for sale by owners. If they want to sell their house and they're on a for sale, who cares? I mean, you want to sell your house, your phone number's out there, I'm going to call you. So don't.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Here I come.
Yeah, because you already put it out there that you want to sell your house, right?
You said you do role play 4 days a week, which I
Yes.
think is amazing. But I can see how that would really, really be super helpful. So somebody who's not in a coaching program or doesn't have a group of other people who are studying and doing the same thing, do you just like find a friend who's on the same, you know, same track and have them help you? And do you role play rejection?
Yes.
Okay.
We have 40 objection handlers that I role
Okay.
play with someone. And yeah, I'm drawing a blank right now, but yeah, so just things that people say and how to respond to that, to whatever
Okay.
it is.
So you're constantly experiencing this, so it's not something new, and you build the muscle of not taking it personally, because you can say that till the cows come in, don't take it personally, but it's not for me. And I think, Jay, I can kind of see your concurrence here. It's just not something that is a part of my psyche, that I do take things personally. So there's got to be some buffer in there. So do you
So
think
it's the more you work on your skills,
Mm-hmm.
the better your skills are going to be, the more confidence you're going to have, and the less and less do you care about rejection. But also, because your skills keep getting better and better, you might experience less rejection, because people, they hear your confidence, you know what you're talking about, you're not fumbling your words, and so they want to talk to you. They feel comfortable talking with you because you're showing them that you're confident, you're exuding that confidence and knowledge and being helpful. I think that's what
One
does
thought. One thought.
Who is this?
Are you guys there?
it. That's Tom.
This is
Hi,
Tom Simmons. Sorry. Yeah, one thought on that. I first of all, this has been amazing, Jen. You've done an amazing job of outlining alternative methods towards lead generation, specifically listings. I think it's been extremely valuable, especially in today's climate. And I think it's a unique approach, probably that's going to get more activity as time goes on because the listing inventory is so low. But one comment and maybe a question as it relates to the way you've communicated handling rejection. At the end of the day, the real estate game, like everything else, is a numbers game. It's about how many swings at the plate, and then you're honing your skills, right, to get a higher batting average, which is what you've alluded to. And if you look at it as in the sense that it is a numbers game until it's a relationship, and then it's personal, right? And then we're working by relationship and we're building them into a referral network. But on this cold stuff, until it materializes that way, why would you take it personally? You don't have a relationship with those people. Every time you get a no, it's statistically getting you that close, much closer to a yes. And as you hone your skills and your skills get better and you achieve at a higher level and your confidence level goes up, which you have suggested, then you're going to get a better opportunity to convert. So here's my question. As your skills have grown over the past several years and as your confidence has risen, have you seen a proportionate relationship to your conversion rate?
Yes. My conversion rate went up, I believe, 20% last year.
Yeah.
And this year the goal is to have it go up 15% more.
Great.
So you actually set a goal for increasing your conversion rate, which is, I love that. That's so fundamental. That's better than I want to increase my business by.
Right. I have all my ratios. So like how many phone calls do I know I need to make to get a listing appointment? And how many listing appointments before I get a listing? And how many, how many calls do I make an hour on average? It's all a numbers game and you should know your numbers. And because it does help.
Can I add something really quick?
Predict your business. You know what you need to do. Like I know I'm going to need to make like roughly 3,200 calls this year to make my goal.
I think for like newer people in particular, if I had to do my career over again, I do Buffini and work by referral. I would have started doing what Jen's doing. You learn like these really good skills about communicating. It's also, I think, a faster way to build a database. And then I would have switched over to Buffini because I like working relationally. But I listened to her, and if you're ever in the Indian Hills office and listen to her, she's really phenomenal on it. But I just really think that I could have learned handling rejection better, getting, building a database quicker and getting some business quicker by doing this, and then switching over to relational marketing.
And Mike Ferry will say, yeah, absolutely work your past clients, work your sphere of influence, but there's these other streams of possibilities with the for sale by owner, the expired, the just sold, just listed. All those help bring in more business to you.
So what's the first step that you would tell people to do who have not entered into that form of generating leads? What would be your first step that you'd advise them?
Well, probably get into coaching, get into Mike Ferry coaching, because he pushes all that you have to do that. And then you're going to have to ideally you need to sign up for some sort of a database calling system where, they give you the numbers and you can call.
So would it be before somebody can makes that step? Is there a network or a group, or should this be something that you start from talking to other people?
So actually, we're going to have a retreat, and of course, all retreats now are online. There's no more, normally the production retreat is always in January. Just, kick off the year, get y'all pumped up to get to work. Normally about 2,500 people attend that one, I think. And then there's a huge one in Vegas in July that usually about 4,500 people go to. But, you know, the production retreat, it's going to be online. You could even go to mikeferry.com and still sign up for it. I believe it's going to be starts on the 19th. So it's going to be next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 4 hours each day. And it'll be, and he did back in October, was it September, October? There was a retreat online. It was the first one online. And I liked it even kind of almost better than going to the retreat. I feel like I got more out of it from doing it virtually.
You know, I think there's a lot of conversations going on. I know, not I think, I know because I'm part of them and I've been moderating in some conversations going on all these different topics. And I mentioned at the beginning of this call, Clubhouse, that is it's kind of like a radio station that you can jump in and out of, and there's all kinds of conversations. I know April Tucker has some going on. I have some going on a more national level, but I'm going to look and see if there's some conversations that have been started already on this type of thing, because I think people they listen, and there's different speakers. People come up to the quote virtual stage. You're not on camera, so you can be in your pajamas. You can leave the conversation quickly. And I think, Jen, I don't know if you're connected to it, but it would be a great place for a network of conversation for people to peek in on. And I think people need training wheels, you know, to know that you are in a safe environment and you're going to learn things. So it's not an either dive into this, you know, coaching that costs or don't. There's ways of getting there, and I really appreciate your information.
Sure. I mean, that's what I'm saying. If you wanted to spend $150 next and watch the retreat, I mean, you can sign up, and it's $150.
It's a good way to get.
And that would be a good introduction, because he's going to talk about all these things, and you're just going to take notes, and it's going to stuff should click for you. I mean, if you're paying attention and taking your notes, just like if you were at the actual retreat.
Many people in our company you know, do a tremendous amount of relational business, but as an adjunct to that, and as you know, we've got to have all these different levels of places that we have the tools in our toolbox to be able to use. And to me, it's like, where do I go get the bulbs to plant in the garden so that I have all these field after field after field of nourishment to come up? So you don't just go to one place and get one thing, and you don't have a whole field full of, you know, nothing but tomatoes. You want to get all this stuff that keeps on giving. So I think this is, you know, priceless information. And if you guys have any final questions, we have about 4 minutes left. Jen's here. So Tom, you want to talk?
Well, I'll just say one thing to kind of echo what Jen has said, which has been a strategy. But I would just say that today's environment, listings are just gold. I mean, we can't place enough emphasis on generating inventory for a myriad of reasons that everybody knows, that I wouldn't insult their intelligence to suggest why. But it is absolutely a different environment, and we absolutely have to be thinking differently, because the days of the traditional real estate transaction, from the standpoint of the way the next year is going to look, is over. We're never going to be able to have enough inventory for our buyers or generate enough listing inventory for our business with traditional methods. By mere math, there's 0.6 of a month of inventory. 0.6 of a month. In 2 weeks, if nobody listed a house, we're out of business. Now, we're not going out of business. Business is good, as we all know. But my point is that we have to be thinking in a different, and playing the game by a different set of rules. And many of the strategies that Jen has purported today are unique to kind of the way that maybe some of us have traditionally practiced real estate. But in order to meet our true potential, we're going to have to get outside of ourselves a bit. And that's why I think that this particular, and kudos to Carol and Jen for getting together on this because I think Jen's approach to business, which is a little bit unique to many of the people in our company for sure, so valuable because it is so topical. So I would just humbly submit that we have to be in a different mindset in order to achieve our financial objectives as it relates to our sales volume this year.
Absolutely. Final questions?
Well said. Yeah, that was perfect. Yeah, I love what you have to say, Jen. I think a lot of great stuff. And you're right, Mike and Tom Ferry, they're great. You know, I haven't followed them over the years, just little tiny bits, but they've been doing it a long time. They're great. So I'm glad.
Yeah, and you know, I know social media is important and all this stuff, but really it's get down to the basics is talking to people and asking questions.
Yeah,
Talk to
Selling
people.
is not telling.
Well,
that's good.
I was able to be in the same office with you for several years and listen to you because, you know, we have no ceilings. So we listen to
Right.
everybody and listen to you. And I would just be like, oh my God, that woman is an animal. I can't even think that I could do that, you know? So
It's just a skill. It's just skills. Anybody can do it. It's just, are you willing to put the work in?
skills and
It's
systems.
just a skill. That's all it is.
Yeah. No magic. No magic.
No, there's not any magic. It's just
Yeah.
hard work.
Yeah.
That's it.
And connecting. And I love so simple. Talk to people. Who are you going to talk to today? You know, put that on your computer screen. Who are you going to talk to today? You know,
Right.
So, yeah. And bless somebody by doing that, you know, who knows? So, hey,
Right.
Thank you, Jen. Sorry
Thank you.
it took you so long to get on. Darn Zoom.
I know. I don't know what happened to my computer. So
Yeah. So we'll see you guys all next week and have a fantastic week. And you know what you need to do this week? Talk to people.
oh,
Take care.
and real quick, if anybody wants to reach out to me, you know, directly to ask questions about what I talked about or about Mike Fury, you're more than welcome to. So just FYI on that.
Great. No boundaries there, huh?
Thanks, Jen.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Tom.
Okay.
Thanks, Carol.
All right. Bye-bye.